Hi everybody, RBTV 31. We're still in some form of lockdown, so I'm doing another solo one. I've been working on a potential studio spot actually, so I can begin to get guests back on and stuff, which is quite fun, quite exciting. So I guess you'll see them when they come out. But for this, I don't know if you know, but I'm releasing a book. It's out on the 1st of August. I've got some pre-orders already, which has been really nice. Thank you everybody who's pre-ordered so far. The book's called Vagabonds, and it's all about my life and times kind of on tour with a band called Rates, who I used to play drums in. We got signed, but we never really hit any sort of success level. It was always kind of teased, and I just thought I had a load of fun stories that I used to tell everybody all the time, and still do, and I just thought it'd be nice to kind of get them down on paper. So it's only short, it's only a little book, it's just a compilation of short stories. I think there's 12 altogether in there, plus some bonus content. So yes, I thought I'd put it out and see if anybody gives a shit. And it turns out people do, which is quite nice. So, and it was an interesting exercise, just putting pen to paper and completing something. Obviously, lots of people want to write books and make books or write scripts and stuff, and it was nice to see something right through to completion. So yeah, so it's Vagabonds. Obviously, there'll be links below about how to pre-order it and order it and stuff if you're interested. But being from kind of marketing and having a marketing background, I thought about interesting ways to possibly talk about it and get the word out there that I've put a book out. I'm obviously self-publishing it, putting it out myself. There's a couple of magazines are reviewing it and stuff, which would be quite nice, so I'll share them when they're out. But for now, it's just little old me, the power of my Instagram and my Facebook promoting it. So I thought what would be interesting would be to read an excerpt from the book. So I uploaded it onto an iPad, and I thought if I read a story, you'll get a flavour for. So I thought oh my god, I can't get my words out today. So I thought if I read an excerpt or a story from the book, you'll get a flavour for what it's about and what it feels like, and then if you're interested, you can order it. So here goes. So this I'm trying not to give too much backstory because obviously a lot of it's in the book anyway, and that's the whole point of it. But yeah, so this story here is about the time that we played somewhere called Mosh on the Tyne Festival, 31st of May 2014, so it's a few years ago, and about our trials and tribulations there. So I'll put my best reading voice on, and so read along with me. Well, you can't read along with me because it's not out yet, but yeah, have a listen. As you may or may not be aware, promoters for small shows sometimes weren't very good at managing money or actually marketing the shows, and some of them were just bad people. Often, said promoters were made much less money than they first imagined when they booked the actual gig. This meant that on many, many occasions, promoters would try to get away with not paying one or many of the acts playing their shows. Today was one of those gigs for Wraiths. In the early days, when it was a bit more of a pushover and, I don't know why I'm trying to read this out loud. This is quite painful reading it, but anyway, in the early days when it was a bit more of a pushover, I'd let it happen and just bitched about it on the way home. But by now I'd been around the block a bit and I'd become a bit more confident, so I often quite like to toy with promoters who looked like they were going to attempt to worm their way out of paying us. It got to the point where I was happy to take on duty of letting these people know that they'd fucked up so that they wouldn't do it again. I felt like it was my duty so that if they decided to put on shows again further down the line, other bands didn't have to put up with their shit like the younger me had to in the past. This particular afternoon was a sunny day in Newcastle, which always led to good spirits. There was nothing better than the sun coming out on a day you have a show. It made load-ins and waiting around much, much easier. There were bands on all day, and we'd purposely arrived a few hours before I was set to check the gig out, see what the bands were like, and see, again, I'm just adding stuff here, that's really annoying. We were playing in a sports hall in the college, complete with bleachers for people to watch from. It looked pretty cool. When our time came up, we set up, we played the gig, we smashed it. We sold some t-shirts and began to pack our gear down. The turnout had been good and the promoter had seemed in good spirits when we arrived earlier, and he'd come over and spoken to us. We'd taken this as a sign that getting paid would be easy, so Charlton and Ray went over to sort the payment while I was out the back beginning the arduous task of packing my drums away. They both came back over to me laughing not too long later. I asked if they had the cash for the gig, and they continued laughing, saying I was going to have a real good time speaking to this guy. Secretly, they just wanted to watch me act all tough. knowing that on the inside I'm not a mean person. They used to get a kick out of it and would often impersonate me in the van afterwards. We walked over to the entrance where the promoter was sat. Charlton and Ray were slightly behind me as my bouncers, but also holding their laughter in as I put on my tough guy act. I introduced myself to the young man and I asked if there had been a problem with the money. He looked me in the eyes and said he didn't have enough money to pay us. The usual story. There'd not been enough kids at the show to cover the bills. The headliner, Silent Screams, were apparently quite expensive, and so he didn't have enough money to pay the rest of the bands on the bill. Rather than take it up with the big boys, he decided to fuck over all the smaller bands. He tried to feed us the usual bullshit. I'll PayPal you it tomorrow, he said. Or, my bank's been frozen. I've lost my card and I'll send you the cash when the new one comes. Blah, 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 blah. While he was saying all this, he was gesticulating quite a lot, and I noticed that he had a Tupperware box in his hand. I looked closer at the box while he fed me his usual bullshit, and I could see that it was absolutely bursting at the seams with cash. The nerve on this dude. I started laughing at him, and Ray and Charlton did the same when I'd finally realised that this guy had a bucket full of cash. He stopped talking when I started laughing at him, and he seemed quite confused. I looked him in the eye and said, "You realise you're telling me you don't have enough money to pay us while you're literally waving a box of money under my nose?" He looked down at his box full of cash and panicked slightly. He said he only had enough to pay Silent Screams, nobody else. Not on my watch, I thought. I told him under no uncertain terms that I wasn't going to go anywhere until he gave us the cash we had earned, right from his scruffy little Tupperware box. He protested, and I simply explained that I didn't want to, but if it came to it, I'd just take the money from him by force, and there wasn't a fucking thing he could do about it. After a slight moment of tension, he relented. He opened his shitty little Tupperware box, and he paid us what we were owed. Naturally, I got tortured all the way home by the guys who were impersonating my tough guy act, because really, I'm not a tough guy. So that is just an excerpt from the book, and I guess the aim of the book was to kind of highlight what some people might not know, kind of what goes on for smaller bands and smaller acts out in the big wide world, and all the supporting bands and the smaller bands that you sometimes see at concerts. Sometimes kind of living like on the breadline. They've got no money, they're surviving on the t-shirt sales, and there's a whole kind of like world and a whole subculture beneath that Race were a part of. So I thought it might be quite interesting for people to read about. So there you have it. So that's an excerpt from the book. It's out on the 1st of August. Pre-orders for both the ebook and physical copies are available now. I'll be getting them printed quite soon. I'm excited to see how they look. And they also come with some exclusive artwork that Ray, our singer and boss tattoo artist, is at Evils on Instagram, has designed as well. So they come with a nice cool bit of artwork. So I thought I'd make it a bit more special. And people have asked me to sign copies, which I find really weird, but I will sign them. I think I'll probably write a nice little note in them all. So if that's your type of thing, head over to the links below and you can pre-order it. Like I say, ebook or physical copies or both or whatever you like. So cool. Thanks very much for watching. Anything else important? Yeah, Reap Jiu-Jitsu. My clothing brand. We've got some new gear out. We've got some cool face masks with a little shaka on them. They're the next batch are coming for them, and they're kind of constantly churning out. So if you order now, you probably might get it by like next week, because the printing company are like way behind, because obviously face masks are rather in demand at the minute. And we've got a bunch of new t-shirts with a super cool new design in it. I think it's super cool anyway, probably because I designed it. So yeah, there's a load of cool new stuff over on the Reap Jiu-Jitsu website, so have a look at that. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the excerpt from the short. I hope you enjoyed the short story excerpt from the book. Cheers, guys.